Hey there, guys. Happy Sunday night. It's cold and rainy here on the East Coast. So, yeah, I've got the fire going again. So it's nice and warm up here. But it's kind of cold down in my bedroom because I had to punch a hole in the ceiling because I had a drip coming from the above deck. And I have to get that fixed. So I discovered the builder, in their infinite wisdom, never blocked off part of the wall. The deck above the bedroom has a rubber membrane on it, which protects it from water, and the deck is built on top of it. And it's built upon these joists, which go out. And there's no blocking where the joists are, so like air can just come up into the house. And it just baffles me. I've wondered all these years, 15 years, why is the upstairs third floor so cold? Guess what? That's why. So that's another thing I want to fix while I'm there. But so anyway, that was my day. And then and today I actually I did the recording for my song. It was amazing. It was so much fun. It was so cool. It was great. But enough of me. I want to talk about the shedding of things that we don't need in life. Mostly the shedding of ideas, I would say, or the shedding of maybe identities, although I don't think we really need to get rid of identities because all of our different identities within us are useful in some way. They can all serve us. We get stuck in our lives when we get stuck in a particular identity that isn't serving us. And each identity that we have in us it's really weird, but it's got a viewpoint about life, and it makes choices for us. It's like we're not just one. We're like a conglomeration of all kinds of billions of cells and different pieces of us. It's really, really wild. And let me explain kind of what an identity is before I go any further. The simplest way is to really describe it as kind of a personality within you. And it's not like we all have split personality disorders. Maybe we do. It's completely normal and healthy to have all these identities and be able to switch between all those different identities, basically depending on what environment you're in, what you're presented with. For instance, so the best way is to give you an example. So if you teach children, you have a teacher identity. Let's call it a hat. You put on your teacher hat. If you have parents, most of us do, unless they've passed away, but if you have parents or had parents, you had or have a child hat that you put on still. I don't care how old you are, you still have that child hat that exists sometimes. You notice it a lot with family reunions and holidays where that child hat comes on. It's like, oh my God, how did I act that way? I act so different when I'm around my family. Yeah, because unconsciously that sibling or child hat or identity is making itself known. And so all the things that you dealt with when you were a child, with your parents or with your siblings or whatever, they come up because it's still there. So that's an identity. Your particular profession, you have an identity. You have a relationship with your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. You have an identity for that. You don't, trust me, I know this from experience, you do not want to be at work and have your particular identity and bring your work identity home with you because it doesn't work. You can't be like you are at work with your spouse or lover or a girlfriend, boyfriend. It just doesn't work. And that's where we get stuck. And when we get stuck in like places like making decisions about things or moving forward with things, it's typically two identities with opposing views kind of battling each other in your mind. And I'll just do like another simple example would be like, let's say you really want to do something like, you really want to do karaoke. Let's use that because I love karaoke. So you really want to do karaoke, okay? And you're driven to do it, and you want to get up on stage, and you're going to do it, but then like, ooh, there's something in your gut that's like, I don't know if I want to go up on stage. I'm concerned. What if I get made fun of? My voice is not going to be good. And you talk yourself out of it. Those are two battling identities. One is the one who, I don't know if I put a description on it, but one is the one who wants to be brave and outgoing and fun. And then there's the more conservative one, or the fearful one, really, to hold you back, is the one who's cautious and like, no, we want to be cautious. And and it's when those two identities battle each other or have opposing views, that's when you get stuck. And there are processes that I've learned how to do, and I'm doing myself and I do on clients, where you take those two identities or multiple identities and you, for lack of a better word, integrate them. You bring them together. You bring them together so that you realize that they're both part of you and they're both given a voice within the process. And once they're both given a voice, you kind of satisfy them. And then you're able to find choice in the middle. You're able to choose which one you want to follow. Maybe you want to be cautious. That's okay if you choose to be cautious versus you're nervous and you're afraid to move forward. There's a different energy there. But if you choose to be cautious about something, okay, that's good. You made a choice, a conscious choice. You were aware of your choice. You were aware of your feelings, and they were based and aligned with your feelings. If you choose to get up on stage and go crazy and have fun and that's a choice. Again, you choose to do that with your alignment of your feelings and your desires. So that book that I was been reading, this is a really good, another passage here that I really like. And it's, not this one. It's the last. It's The Gift of Shedding. And this is really similar to kind of what I'm talking about here. And I'll read it. And then talk a little more about it, my interpretation of it stuff. So the gift of shedding. From the beginning, the key to renewal has been the casting off of old skin. It is interesting that the earliest peoples believed in something that we, in our modern hive of manufacturing, have forgotten, that immortality is attainable by shedding. The Duns of North Borneo have believed for centuries that God finished creating the world. When God finished creating the world, he announced that whoever is able to cast off his skin shall not die. But what does this mean, really? Not that we can live forever, but that the way to stay close to the pulse of life, the way to stay in presence of that divine reality, which informs everything, is to be willing to change. Still, change what? To change whatever has ceased to function within us, to shed whatever we are carrying that is no longer alive, to cast off our dead skin, because dead skin can't feel. Dead eyes can't see, dead ears can't hear, and without feeling, there is no chance of wholeness. And wholeness remains our best chance to survive the pain of breaking. Of course, for human beings, dead skin takes many forms. the most significant of which remain intangible but suffocating, such as the dead way of thinking, a dead way of seeing, a dead way of relating, a dead way of believing, or a dead way of experiencing. In excess, shedding opens us to self-transformation. Paradoxically, those of us who refuse such renewal will sooner or later be forced to undergo transformation anyway, as a result of being broken or eroded by the world. Very often, both occur at the same time. That is, we shed from within while being eroded from without. Ooh, that's good. So a few things here. The shedding of beliefs. Okay, the whole dead thing. I can really relate to this. When I was younger, I felt dead, and we feel that way. We get to a place where humans have to change. We have to evolve, or else we become dead. We become walking zombies, really. If there's no life in us, there's nothing driving us, there's no feeling, what's the point of living? You want to have feeling. You want to experience life, the highs and the lows. The highs and the lows. If you didn't have the lows, you couldn't have the highs. It's not possible, just by definition. So the shedding of dead skin and dead eyes, and it's all figurative, but so how you see things, you change how you see things, your perspective. You change how you hear things. Maybe you listen to, let's use music, a particular type of music, and you listen to it all the time. Like I'm pretty guilty of this. I listen to Spotify all the time and I have my channels. Well, that gets me into a routine of listening to the same thing over and over and over again. So there's no possibility of exploration from that sound aspect into something else. So listen to something else. Go off and just pick a channel randomly, and see what it sounds like. And I have done that sometimes. And it's really pretty remarkable what you can find out, what you can hear. It's like, wow, that's pretty good music. So, that's shedding of dead ears, shedding of dead ideas. If you're closed off and only believe what you believe and you're not accepting of other ideas, again, you're dead in that sense. Because there's no chance of understanding more, of growing. My grandfather used to always say this to me, Peepop. I used to call him Peepop. I actually called him Peepop until he died, and I was in my 30s. And the story goes, I guess I called him Peepop because I couldn't say the word pop-pop maybe, or grandpop or something when I was a kid, and it stuck. He loved it, and I called him that till the day he died. But anyway, he always taught me. He said, when someone tries to teach you something, don't ever say I know. Just shut your mouth. Don't ever say I know. Shut your mouth and you listen. Whether you know it or you think you know it or not, you still shut your mouth. Because by doing that, you open yourself up to new experiences, new ideas. And if you say I know it all the time, I know it, no one's going to bother to try to teach you anything because you know it. That goes the same with anything in our lives. This is a really big, this is carried over into karate for me, is the whole, when we, with our sensei, we have a bunch of different forms or kata that we learn. And we never say that we know our kata, because when we know our kata, then it shuts us down to learning anything else about that kata. Because the way kata are set up is, and anything really in life is set up, is you learn the basics, and then you apply it to something, and then you just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. And the more you do it, the more things you see, the more ideas you find, the more creativity you see, the more people you let in to the whatever you're doing, you learn more that way too. So it's called having a white belt attitude or a white belt mentality, to always be open to learning and to new ideas. And that goes along very well with the book about shedding. Oh, and the last part too is, this can be very painful. In fact, I've studied and learned, and most of the people who have gone through dramatic growth in their lives, look at people who are extremely successful in whatever they're doing, whether it be business or philosophy or whatever their niche is. They've most likely gone through some really dark time where they've hit the bottom. I've done that too, myself. I hit the bottom. I would say probably after my divorce or during my divorce, I hit the bottom. That was pretty low for me. I went through some really difficult times, just kind of reassessing my life. Blaming myself was the worst thing. I blamed myself for everything that kind of happened. And so, yeah, I went pretty low then. And that allowed for transformation. That I chose to shed that skin. I chose to shed that victim identity of myself. And if you don't choose that, then it's chosen for you in a lot of cases, because the world never stops changing. Everything's cyclical. The weather changes, the environment changes, the temperature changes, everything changes around us. If we don't change with it and we fight it and resist it, it's going to take us down. It really is. Or it's going to force us to change. So the people who aren't aware and cognizant of the choices that they have and the change that they can make, then oftentimes they are changed because they have to be, and it's a painful process. And it talks about that in the very bottom of this book. It says, in essence, shedding opens us up to self-transformation, but paradoxically, those of us who refuse such renewal will sooner or later be forced to undergo transformation anyway as a result of being broken or eroded by the world. Yeah, so that was the last I had to say about this. This was really good. And it brought up some stuff for me that I wanted to share with you guys, which is about transformation. And on the end of a happy note or a positive note is that transformation can be wonderful in your life. It can be painful. I'm not lying to you. I'm not going to delude you at all. It can be very, very painful to transform. As human beings, that's when we transform the most. That's when our greatest transformation is when there's pain involved. But if you could, and it's transitory. It's not forever. It's for a short time. When you choose to go through that pain and feel it, feel that emotion, feel that uncomfortableness, feel those difficulties, and integrate it into you, because it is you, then after you go through it, can't go around it, can't go over it, can't go underneath it, you got to go through it, got to feel it, sit in that fire. And once you do, on the other side is transformation. And it's beautiful. And it changes you. It changes you. It's very much like the body, how it reacts to disease. I've seen the tendency, especially in my daughter, whenever she would get sick. She would get pretty sick when she would get sick, flus, and she was always sick when she was younger. But after she was through it, there was this resiliency that I saw in her, this new change. I mean, it was like night and day sometimes, because she went through that physical pain. And the same, and on the other side was transformation, beauty, a better life. The same thing happens with our emotional pain. You can do the same thing. So that's it. So I wanted to inspire you with that because it will change your life. It really will change your life. I am here to say, because it's changing my life. So if you guys want to learn more about this, if you want to work with me as clients, I am integrating the FAB idea. FAB, if you guys have heard of it before in my previous videos. Basically, feel, act, and believe. That will get you to what you want to be. Or if you don't want to be anything, that'll get you to be where you are, to be happy in your own skin, which will enable you to transform. That's all I got. You guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Maybe earlier in the day. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of wondering about that. I kind of want to do it early in the day when it's light out. But we'll see. If I do, I will post a time change. And if you see this, please post little hearts and flowers and thumbs up and things if you like this. Let me know your opinions, your ideas, and let me know where you have changed in your life. What transformations have you gone through? It's always good to hear from other people. So that's it. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.